And you too. It's been a long time.
It's brilliant that you're here, and thank you. And we at Swiss Opera Lab and Gilbert and Sullivan Society Basel and Tri-Renum Orchestra are so excited to have you next year. And our first Basel Proms concert. And I have wanted to get you over to Switzerland for the whole time I've lived here, which is, would you believe, 26 years.
Good Lord, it really is that long.
It is.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, it really is a massive thing for me to bring you over here, because I still wave the flag for David Lawrence and your extraordinary choral conducting ability and what you can sort of get out of a chorus. Because we met, when was it? When I was a wee slip of a girl. I hadn't even really started solo singing very much, because I joined the chorus, the choral singing course at Hereford Summer School.
That's right.
But I really, that first course had a profound effect on me, to be in a situation where you could get up every morning and sing and other like-minded people and create and create and create. So I did, you know, and when you were conducting, I just felt, my goodness, there's so much to be learned here. So,
well, I mean, I'd always loved singing. I'd always sung through school and university. And whilst I was at university, there was a very, very inspiring music director there, Simon Halsey, with whom I continue to work. I was conducting his choir in London last night, and I'm conducting his choir in Birmingham tonight, and then I'm back to his choir in London tonight. So even after all these years, we spent 10 years together working with the Dutch radio choir. We've worked together very, very closely, and he very much inspired me, continues to do so. So I think it's important for all of us that we acknowledge the people that we meet along the way and that have inspired us. And if there's anything I can do, I mean, in quite a lot of my other projects, they are often about inspiring singing where there is none already. And I love that opportunity. The thought that maybe somebody might be inspired to have a life in singing that otherwise might not have done is too exciting, really.
Fantastic. I've always found you just a bundle of joy with the baton in your hand and with the score in front of you. And so that's something that's really important to me, is to bring you here and to give that experience to my students and the choirs that I've worked with here and what have you. So can you tell me what you feel is really exciting and really important about the whole sort of workshop and putting together this sort of mass choir, bringing together, why it's so good to bring together different singers that aren't necessarily used to singing together, and what can be achieved?
Yeah, good question. I have personally found a great joy in singing with big choirs. Now, I spent 15 years singing in a small chamber choir, and I love that repertoire. I've conducted chamber choirs and small groups, and that is lovely. But quite honestly, for me, nothing has beat ever the feeling that you get when you're in the middle of 150 or 200 people who are all singing a Mahler symphony or whatever it is. And my first experience of that was with the CBSO chorus when I was a student, and the choir I'm working with tonight. And we were very lucky to work with some wonderful conductors. So we had a chorus master preparing us, and then a great conductor finishing off the job. And that was of great interest to me, because I'd already started to wonder about conducting anyway. But really, that feeling of being in a really big choir, you can't beat it. There's nothing matches it. And that thought inspires a lot of the projects that I do. I do a thing with primary school children called Young Voices. So we put supersized choirs into big arenas, and we have choirs of thousands of children. And we've heard back individual stories from people who have sung in those concerts about how it's inspired them to go on and do singing. In fact, one of our soloists in that project next year, she claims that being in a Young Voices choir herself inspired her to do singing. She went on to win a program called The Voice over here in the UK, and she's now a great big superstar. So that's very exciting, and go back to that feeling of how it is to sing in a big choir. So for people who love singing anyway, and perhaps haven't experienced singing in a symphony-sized chorus, I would really, really recommend it. I think sometimes the things that puts people off doing that is the feeling, oh, my voice won't count, or how can I really contribute, and isn't it just going to be one great big noise and a big shout? Well, I can tell you this, that, and you know this, you know my theory about singing in a choir. Where does the sound of a choir come from? Does it come from the sopranos and the altos and the tenors and the basses? No. It comes from the individual people who are in the choir, and their individual contribution really, really matters. And that is my philosophy. That's my guiding philosophy. And I've learned that in many ways from many different people. And so how do you get the best sound out of a big choir? By encouraging each individual singer in that choir to absolutely want and desire to give of their best. So that's the principle that undermines everything that I do. And then quite honestly, once you've got everybody in front of you wanting to work and wanting to sing of their best, your job is really easy.
I disagree though, because you have a special talent of really getting people to that level of wanting to give themselves. And I think that not everybody has that.
I think you're right about that. I've had some good teachers in that. And that does involve, I think, understanding why people come to sing in a choir in the first place. Why would people give up their time? I mean, all of the choirs that I work with, the London Symphony Chorus, for example, last night, who are a world-class chorus. They are doctors, nurses, teachers, all sorts. They are amateur singers. And so one has to find ways, particularly with the kind of music we're doing at the moment, which is quite contemporary, find ways of being with them that encourages them to want to be there. And there are various ways of doing that, and various ways not to do that as well. I know that that I was lucky to learn this very early on in my career, when somebody told me, you know, David, there's only one way of doing things. And I said, what? Surely there are many ways of doing things. And he said, no. There is one way of doing things, and that is your way. I.e., don't try to be someone that you're not. Don't try to pretend that you can do things that you can't. Simply do things your way, and then you'll be authentic, and then you'll be believable. I think I was lucky to learn that early on.
And tell me what you think about proms then, the proms idea. And what can we sort of like promise our singers to a certain extent if they sign up for this chorus workshop and for this sort of project? What might they discover that's a little bit other?
Well, I think that what we are trying to do, A, hasn't been done before in Basel, and B, gives an opportunity for singers who are used to singing in small or medium-sized choirs to sing in a large chorus and experience that feeling that I was talking about earlier, and experience that feeling of singing this kind of repertoire in a prom-style concert. So when you and I talk about the proms, we know what we're talking about. Would you say everybody in Basel knows?
Not at all. Even though proms concerts have been happening in Germany, sort of last night, the proms sort of style of event. It's still quite a new idea, and also explaining it has its pros and cons, because if you sort of think about audience participation, then somehow it's hard not to let the level of sort of concert sound a little bit dumbed down.
Yes.
Where it becomes a sing-along in that sense. But it's certainly nothing of the sort, really. I mean, just the idea of bringing the public sort of onto the stage in that sense, the lights, the whole sense of belonging, really, that everyone in the auditorium has a voice as well. That I think that has a sense of unity, of coming together, which I don't think has been seen here. And watching the last night of the proms for the last 30 years or so, it's just an extraordinary sense of belonging that comes across.
Yeah.
And I think at this time as well, particularly, we need to sort of emphasize unity and belonging and being together and working together more than ever.
Well, I can't agree with you any more than I do, because I think you're absolutely right. And you look at the news these days and you see people and countries trying to better themselves by distancing, by building walls, by chopping themselves out of Europe. And I look back at history and think, when were the great advances made by people isolating themselves? No, they weren't. They were usually made by people coming together. And of course, that is what we're trying to do in a musical sense with a concert such as this. We've got great repertoire lined up for it as well.
How do you feel about the repertoire?
I'm excited about it, and bringing British music to people who don't know it, because very early on in my career I was lucky to travel, and my ticket was bringing British music abroad, and so working on the Tippett spirituals, for example, they may well be known as songs in themselves, but perhaps not the Tippett arrangements of them. And of course, they're from A Child of Our Time. A Child of Our Time is, of course, a piece that's all about anti-war, and the spirituals within them were were there like as a moment for the voice of the people to be heard. So you were just talking about people's voices and being heard. So it's absolutely right that such pieces are at the heart of our this program, and they're not terribly difficult, and they are really, really fabulous, particularly when you're singing them with the orchestra. We've got some Gilbert and Sullivan to sing. Am I right about that?
That's in the fabulous overture that Tiffany has written.
Oh, yes, we're not singing that.
So Tiffany has written a wonderful overture with a little snippet of all of Gilbert and Sullivan's operas included.
That's wonderful, because do you know the Proms themselves over here? Of course, they started right at the end of the 19th century with Henry Wood conducting these concerts full of people at the Queen's Hall in London. But the idea of the Proms came much earlier on in the towards the beginning, the 1830s, or something like that, with Arthur Sullivan conducting these concerts in pleasure gardens, and people were able to just listen to an orchestra as they just walked around. Hence the term promenade. That's where it all started, and then of course it became more formalized with a series of concerts conducted by Henry Wood. At the Queen's Hall, which was sadly bombed in the Second World War, and then moved to the Royal Albert Hall, but has otherwise continued every year ever since, which is pretty amazing. And it's not only one of the world's longest, if not the world's longest running music festivals, it is without doubt the world's biggest, and I'm going to say best, music festival as well.
Well, it's pretty good. It's pretty unbeatable.
Now, how we're putting this choir together, we've got a workshop in...
We've got our workshops in September and in October. And we should be rehearsing the choirs a little bit in advance, with 5 or 6 rehearsals for those that don't belong to choirs.
Lovely. Wonderful. So I'll get to meet everyone on that September workshop, and that will be a really important weekend where we get to know each other, where I share the repertoire, and in particular how we're going to sing it, because the conductor, as you know, Julian and I, we've been working together on this project with you for it's over a year now already, isn't it? And so everyone's going to start off with exactly everything they need to know, with the breath marks in, and there's going to be no waiting around, no guessing at all. And during that workshop, I hope to encourage people that actually participation in this concert is going to offer them a great deal, but that actually it's not going to be a weekly slog and difficult thing to take part in. We talked about preparing rehearsal materials as well, and it's very much my thought that we will do that. So for people who perhaps don't read music perfectly, we'll be giving everybody access to rehearsal tracks for all of the pieces. So I don't think anyone should ever be worried about the fact that it might be a bit too difficult. Well, no, it won't be, and it'll be great fun.
No.
Really great fun.
It will be really great fun, and that's what I can't wait. I'm going to be joining in the chorus for sure. I'm going to be there with my score, because I just want to, see what you do again, get our voices working. Yeah.
Wonderful. And I've already seen the website you've set up for people to sign up to join the choir, which is very, very organised. I must say, you guys are really doing this properly. We can give people the link to that easily enough, can't we?
Yes, yeah, getting people signed up. Once we've got people signed up, we'll be getting the music out to everybody and that kind of thing, and then rehearsal dates will be sent forward. But it's really sort of like rallying the troops at the moment, getting people talking about it, excited about it. Save the date, November 5th, 2022 at the Basel Stadtcasino. And sort of getting this sort of like buzz going, really. And I think what's also exciting is the space. I mean, it's just such a terrific hall to sing in.
Tell me about the venue, because of course I don't know it.
It's beautiful. We've got, I think there's about 1,600 seats. The entry has been completely rebuilt, and it's just like walking into an opera set. All burgundy carpets and furnishings and curtains, and it's just beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And Basel, being on the German-French borders, I think it's a fabulous place to hold this concert, which is also part of my reasoning for wanting to put it on, because again, a huge international community here.
Great.
And the whole flag waving can take on a whole new.
Do you know what flags people are going to wave?
This is what they can wave the Basel Stadt, which is the little, the symbol for Basel Stadt or Basel Land. All 26 cantons have their own flags.
Wow.
This flag, of course, Scottish, Irish, whatever British flags you want to wave, and your French and your German and your LGBTQ, anything.
Yes.
I mean, we can, you can, leprechauns.
Great. So people can bring their own flags for the flag waving.
Exactly. And Basel being a small Euro hub in a sense, has, like I'm saying again, but has a massive international community. Switzerland is very much a landlocked island.
Yes.
But it's all about crossing borders, and I think what we should celebrate this sort of like idea of coming together. I mean, there's so much going on here, and I'm very proud to live here after all these years, and I think it has to highlight the diversity of the town, and that huge amount of musicians and musical sort of abilities and talents that we have here. And it's a great town. It's a great town, and a real cultural hub. So I want Basel Stadt to be sort of excited about this project as much as we are.
That's really exciting. I think the point is that the kind of thing that we're trying to put on here is not the kind of thing that is very easy to put on if you're a choir on your own. The whole idea is that we are stronger together, isn't it? That in pulling all these forces together, that we can create something that actually individually just won't be possible. So that's a very, very exciting prospect.
I think that should be our sort of tagline, our motto: stronger together.
Yeah.
It's really, really true. I think that's really where we're going with this idea that, we need each other to pull this off.
Yeah.
Stronger together.
There we go. Well,
yes.
You heard it here.
And I am I'm going to say it again, I'm thrilled. I'm really excited. I'm really glad that you're coming over.
I can't wait already. Thank you very much for this time.
Take care.
You too. Lots of love. Bye-bye.